Hello, everyone. I hide away the inner workings of my life as a defense mechanism as to not be taken advantage of. However, I think it's worth me being personable with you all today because we need to discuss something that almost all of us experience, but no one really talks about. It's probably been one of those many thoughts that you have at night when you're laying in bed and you can't seem to fall asleep even though you've been there for hours. And that's because you're probably overthinking the world. Although I've been invited to speak today, I'm 22. I've done nothing extraordinary, nothing even close to groundbreaking, and yet I have your attention for the next 10 minutes because you think I have something important to say. You see, the thing is, I don't think I'm even qualified to be up here right now. Because what if just that one person in the crowd today calls me out for the fraud that I think I am? Today, I'm talking about imposterism. It's that feeling of being inadequate and out of your depth in comparison to the people or the standards around you. According to the American Psychological Association, 3 out of every 4 of you will experience this at some point in your life, if you haven't already. When it was first discovered by Susan Imes and Pauline Clance, they thought that imposter syndrome only affected women. However, today, research suggests that it can affect anyone, and more specifically, according to Clance and other researchers, it affects people of color, women, and high achievers at higher rates. I've noticed that this occurs often when we experience change, whether it's when we get a new job, a new accomplishment, or even meet our other friends' successful friends. So I know we can all remember the time where we met our other friends' friends, and now we're trying to figure out how we somehow fit into the group because we're nothing like those other people. According to a psychologist with Time magazine, this syndrome applies to anyone who isn't able to internalize and own their success. Now, I don't know about you all, but I've definitely been in this box before. And if I'm being honest, I'm in that box right now as I speak to you all. I'm trying to figure out how I escape and bask in the warmth and the light of my achievements, but without being too confident or over cocky because no one likes that person, if we're being honest. Being in the business school and interning at these amazing companies during my summers, I'm constantly surrounded by people who I feel have outworked me, are smarter than me, and quite honestly will get the job each and every single time before me. I can remember my first networking event on campus. I was a sophomore. I had just been admitted into the business school and started my process to corporate America, in which some of my friends would call it the journey of selling my soul. But I was excited. I had just bought my first suit by pleading with my mom for money. You see, when you don't come from a family in corporate America, spending $200 on 2 pieces of clothing is kind of outrageous. So it's the night of the event. I walk all the way back home to my dorm from working. I throw on my new navy suit, my white collared shirt, my charcoal tie, the whole I'm young, looking for a job, but still fashionable, right? As I'm putting on my suit, my roommate and I realized that my pants are too long. Not knowing that it was my first suit, I should have taken it to a tailor to have it fit. But with 30 minutes to get to the event and 20 minutes to walk across campus, I go to my desk, grab out one of those big rolls of silver duct tape, and I asked my roommate to help me hem my pants. And it worked. Some would call this a YouTube hack that you've probably seen, but I should have known that this was an embarrassment waiting to happen. So I go to the event. I really enjoy the firm, love the company. I saw myself there even after I graduated. But this feeling only lasted for maybe 80 seconds. And that's the time it took to leave the room, walk down the steps, and exit the building. As I'm walking down the streets of Franklin Street and looking into the glass storefronts and admiring the man that's in front of me, if I say so myself, I realize that my hem is undone. But I can deal with that. The thing is, the silver duct tape on my blue pants were also showing. You probably know where I was going with this, but I never applied to the firm, even though I was well qualified to be an intern there. And that's because I knew they would remember the kid with the duct tape at the bottom of his pants. After all, I was the only black male in the room, so I couldn't necessarily blend in anyways. This sophomore year tragedy is a physical representation of why I sometimes think I'm a fraud. It's one of the many stories, actually. However, with speaking with people on campus, such as students and professional development coaches, I realized that we all kind of have one thing in common. When we accomplish something that we feel like we haven't earned, we describe it as a scam, or we got lucky. Or on the other side, we describe it as being unqualified, and then we think we have to fake it until we make it. You see, depending on how you frame issues in your life, like us business students, We're always looking to find the solutions to the issues we see. However, I honestly don't have the fix-all answer that you're probably listening for right now. But I do think I have a couple suggestions we can use. So we can start by creating a funnel, right? This funnel is divided into 3 separate pieces. At the top of the funnel is society. Here we're changing bigger picture things. In the middle of the funnel is organizations and groups. We're going to focus on expectations here. And lastly is the individual. So starting with society, we need to change the culture around self-doubt. We have to realize that by using phrases such as fake it until you make it to attempt to encourage the people around us, you're essentially telling them that they can't show the flaws that they already have, even though they've already made it to where they need to go. So to genuinely encourage these people, I have 3 steps that I usually use. First, you want to acknowledge what they're feeling, what they're saying is accurate and is valid. So any feeling of inadequacy or being fraudulent, accept that. Secondly, you follow that up with attempting to be more vulnerable as a society with them. So you want to share your own experiences with the feeling, because I know we've all had them. Like I said, 3 out of every 4 of us will experience this at some point in life. Lastly, you want to try to genuinely encourage them by using something you've seen them do essentially well in the past for the future. This way, they not only are encouraged to do whatever they're doing, but they see that they have a track record of success. And the next piece is organizations and groups. Here, we want to manage expectations better. So we actually have to be more honest and forthcoming about our shortcomings and flaws. That allows standards for evaluations to be created that are feasible because they're back-looking enough to know where we're starting from, but they're also forward-looking enough to give us room to grow and stretch. Lastly, my most important piece, I think, is you all, the individual. So people sitting right there in the seats, the person that looks at yourself in the mirror each and every single morning. You need to find that one thing that boosts your confidence to the point where you feel like you're the baddest thing walking down the streets each and every single morning that you need it. For me, that's music. It may sound odd. I use a 4-song playlist that if you heard, you'd probably think I was the most narcissistic and arrogant man you've ever met, but I'm not. It works for me. I've used it for countless interviews, and actually the committee can tell you I was listening to it back there before I came out. On that playlist, if you're wondering, is I'm the Man by Aloe Black. Infamously enough, was on Obama's top songs of the year, so that kind of helps the confidence with that connection to Obama. I'm a Legend by Drake, Glorious by Macklemore, and Bigger Than Me by Big Sean. Self-doubt is okay and it's natural. Unfortunately, you will feel inadequate at many points in your life. But you need to remember that it wasn't luck that got you to where you are today. It was your ability. And if it wasn't, well, the privilege and the connections must be nice. Thank you.